Hey guys, it's Julien, and today I'm super excited to be showing you how I made my new track, Point of No Return, which is out now on my label, Reflection. It's just dropped yesterday. If you haven't already checked it out, you've heard a little preview in the intro, definitely go check it out on Beatport at the top of the description. Trying to climb up that Beatport chart, so go grab it if you like the tracks. And yeah, I've also got the full project file, MIDIs, samples, presets, everything like that from the track is available right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. This really helps support me. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely go grab that. It helps support me so I can keep bringing you guys new videos every single day. And yeah, thanks for the support on the EP, guys. Let's dive in. Alright, so this is the project file. This track is at 127 BPM, and right off the bat you can see the project is pretty simple, right? We kind of have like a few main groups, and then our synths in the middle, and then just some effects. But you'll notice that I organize my projects in a very particular way, right? So I like to just kind of keep the kick at the top. And we have like those basses underneath it, and then we have the hi-hats. And so you can kind of have like the drums along the top, the synths in the middle, and then the effects at the bottom. So that's just the way that I do it. It's not how you have to do it, but you'll notice it kind of makes things a bit easier in terms of like working on the track. And I do find actually that if you do this while you're working on the track, then it's a lot easier to work on, because you can just be like, okay, the kick is too quiet. Great, where's the kick? Right at the top, where I know it'll always be. Like, you see how the thought process could kind of be more conducive to making tracks quicker this way. Well, yeah, so the first thing up here is the kick. So the kick is made with 4 layers. So what we have here is we have our main kick, our kick punch, our rumble, and then this tiny little quickie kick. Now typically, you only really would need the first 3 layers. But you can hear when I add that little on top, it just sounds really nice. So that's what I did. And essentially, I have a very particular method of making these that... Yeah, essentially it's like we're taking kicks and then just kind of distorting them a bit. I would show you guys the method, but the exact method is still a little bit secret. But essentially that's what it is. So you're going to start with that main kick, just get that sounding real nice. And then the rumble underneath it. And then you can add that punch layer on top. And yeah, so we've got that, and then the clicky kick just adds like that last little bit of... And then on the group there, we just have a high pass filter and a low pass. So no group processing in terms of like saturation or compression or anything like that. It's just these 4 layers sounding really good, and then when you play them side by side, they sound good. You don't need all that extra like compression and drum buffs and stuff like that. But then this is just for transitioning, right? Like we have like the filter, just moving a lot, like turning on and off. And then the low pass filter just brings it in the intro. Cool. Then underneath that, we have the rolling bass. So with this style of techno track, typically you got like this, and obviously that rumble is like the bass. Like that's the actual like low frequencies. But then we also have like the kind of rolling bass over top of this. And so here I'm using 2 layers to do this. So they're both made in Anna. These are just some presets, I believe, that I tweaked. Like, yeah, you can see this is like this side bass, and then there's that asterisk there because I tweaked it, did a bunch of stuff, like played around with this. Essentially, the way this bass is working is it's just a pluck bass, right? Like, it's just, you hear it and you think, just a simple pluck bass. And that's exactly what it is. You can also see there's the MIDI on that. But then what makes it a little bit more interesting is, one, just the fact that we're using different wavetables, like this 2D kick, this filthy here, this heavy FM, but then also this all-pass filter here. This essentially just kind of gives you like a more interesting texture to the sound. And yeah, so we got that on there. And then what's happening, so we have this one on the 16th notes, right? Like if you play it with the, you can hear there's that, but then there's this one underneath it. Which, same deal, this is just a preset that I tweaked. But then this one's going dun 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 dun. So now you have one going dun 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 dun, and then in between it another one going dun 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 dun, dun. And then you can hear when you put the two of them together, you get this very interesting kind of rhythm. And this is a little bit of a different take on this. I haven't heard this in a lot of techno tracks, essentially, where like just having like that rolling bass, but instead of just having like one, just over and over, having two of them that are like bouncing off of each other. I think it's a lot more interesting this way, and also I think this is a little bit more of my own sound that other people aren't doing. And then on this one I just have a bit of echo, a bit of volume shaper as well to give it that like sidechain sort of sound. And then on the group here we just have a high pass filter and a low pass. And actually, fun fact, it's the exact same one with the same automation that you saw on the kick. So then we move down to the cymbals. You know, this is all pretty straightforward. I've got some interesting stuff going on here, like so yeah, this is just like this layered hi-hat. You can hear it's all those 4 layers coming together to make one big. We also have this here, where I'm layering this shaker, which this is one of my own from one of my sample packs. And then this thing, which is just like a very bright, high sound. But then you put them together and you get this really full sounding, like, nice shaker. You can really hear it over here. And then just some rides. I've got also just like a little clap. This is like a percussion loop that I chopped up a little bit and just kind of like dropped in there. I think I had like chopped that in another project and dragged it in. And then on the group here, we just have a high pass, low pass filter automating, a little bit of a high end boost, and then I have this washout just to make everything kind of like disappear here at some points, like in the break. Cool. The next thing that we have here is going to be this main synth melody. So here is the actual MIDI for this. Now the way that this melody is working, the way I wrote this, is essentially we're just jumping up, like kind of using the different intervals that are just in this pretty basic A minor scale here that you're seeing, right? Which actually technically it would be F sharp minor because there's like a weird thing happening over here with that pitch. But essentially we're just using like a basic minor scale and again just jumping up the intervals. So like for example we have root note, minor third, fourth, fifth. Then the second time we go 4th, 5th, 6th. Then we go 5th, 6th, minor 7th. Then we go 6th, 7th, root note. Like it's just using that scale like that. And then it just comes where like the scale comes in because obviously, yeah, in theory you can just make that. If you just know the scale, then you just do that. Well, the scale comes in and finding the right notes, right? We have to make sure that it's the perfect notes. We have to make sure that it's kind of like telling a story still. Like over here having that da-na-na-na-na. I think something like that is going to be very important if you're doing this type of melody. It's not just the da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. That stuff is cool, but it's because that is doing call and response with da-na-na-na-na. Like kind of climbing it up and then walking it back down. That's how you want to think about it. And then over here, this is just that part of it over and over and over. Now, for the actual sound on this one, it's made with 2 layers. So, it's made with the mini moog. From Arturia, you guys have seen me use this before. Shout out to Arturia. Thank you very much for sending this one over. And essentially, yeah, this is made just like this. We just have like pretty standard sort of like saw wave type of sound. You can see we've got some pulse waves here as well. Yeah, really nothing too crazy in that one. I believe we have the unison on as well. And then there's a bit of the second one as well. And then you'll notice this one is just white noise. And this is just something I like to do to make it a little bit cleaner, because a lot of times I like to push the saw waves a bit harder. And the thing is that the white noise tends to have a bit of low end in it. So if you put the white noise in the same patch as the saw waves, it's going to be a bit messy just because of the fact that you can't control that. So this way, we can high pass the white noise. See, there's that, it's kind of messy. And then still keep everything under control. And then after that, I just have this rack you can turn off. A bit of utility, just like some echo, high pass, low pass filter, moving it around, volume shaper to make it bounce off of the kick like you want. And then just this washout at the end of the chain. Which all that's doing is it's reverb attached to a high pass filter. And then also a bit of compression to bring out the reverb. That's all that's happening there with the washout. But yeah, and then we have like this little lead, which is made using the same exact MIDI there, as you can see. And then this one is actually, I believe, based on one of the leads from one of my videos, like one of the 1605 videos or something like that. But essentially, this one's made with wavetable. And this is just a saw wave, and then another saw wave here. You can see that those are, we've got the automation on actually that octave there, and you can see. Yeah, you can hear that happening there. It just kind of makes it a little bit more interesting in this part, because it's like we're just getting into the drop, so it's kind of like telling you like, hey, here's something new. And it also makes something that you're only going to hear in that part as well. And then you can see also we have the noise unison. And then what's happening is I'm just multi-band distorting this. So we're just using 3 bands here. Yeah, you can see it's this high one. You can ignore the guitar rig, didn't end up using that. Bit of on the mid-range, and then even on the lows. So like pretty simple there, but just kind of like it goes from this to this. So it's a good way to make a really interesting lead like this, actually. And then we just have a bit of filter delay, as well as a bit of a howler room, which actually isn't doing anything, so you can just delete that. But then we just have a high pass filter, a little bit of utility turning it up, volume shaper, and then just a low pass filter to make it disappear at the end there. And yeah, then we have some of these break elements, which start with this bass. Now this is all just stuff in the F sharp minor scale like I was talking about earlier. You know, it's just using that pretty basic scale. But this one, and especially with these types of basses, in my opinion, there's a lot of tracks out there that have this type of break right now, right? Like the big re-space with a pad and some type of lead over it. So if we're going to do something like this, I was trying to make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fresh. So like, it's really just using those same notes that you would use in any other scale, but just getting like very creative with them. Like for example, here we used root note, 4th, down to the 6th. Which is actually an interval that you hear a lot. But then we jump up to the minor 7th, which kind of gives you a more like dark feel. And then when we go here, it gets super euphoric all of a sudden. And that's just the 4th again. So like, It's really just like working with the voices and not just choosing like a simple bass line and just kind of keeping it. Like, of course, yeah, you could just do this. Like, why not? But I think it's going to be more exciting if you kind of tell a story with it like this. And this one, I'm just using this bass sample actually. So this is actually from Sample Pack. I have no shame in admitting this. I think it just sounded cooler. It just had a more interesting texture to it than one that you might make in like Serum or something like that. I've got a low pass automating on that as well. And then we just have some washout. And that's really it for that one. It was just like a nice sounding bass. And then it was really more about focusing on the notes for that one. Then we have this pad. Which this is just a bunch of notes. But you can kind of hear how it's fitting. Like, it's all just stuff in that F sharp minor scale. This is actually made using the Arturia Matrix. Using a preset that I tweaked. On this pad layer as well. Which you can hear what this is doing. And it's just a bunch of sad stuff that's fitting into this key, you know. Nothing really too crazy there. And that's just got a bit of EQ. Low pass, volume shaper. Then we have the vocal.
Past the point of no return. Leave behind our consciousness. We're past the point of no return.
This is really simple. This is actually a recording of my roommate, so shout out to him. But essentially, I'm just taking this. It's going through like a bit of echo. I think I did like some drum bus on it and stuff. I froze it down like a while ago.
We're past the point of no return.
But yeah, we've got that. And then there's a few other vocals in here as well, like this one. Which is actually the same thing, but it just has a vocoder on it. But just kind of like, you know, using that vocal throughout the track. The interesting thing is that you really only hear it like all the way through, just like the whole thing. Like in a few parts of the track. But we're trying to make it, you know, catchy and memorable. So just having like a few different versions of it throughout the track, I think works really well. And then other than that, it's really just effects, right? Like we have like, you know, some reverses. We have like all these little things. Which is just a bunch of different like synth stabs I've made. And then just like some other cashmere effects. I also have these in the intro to make the intro a little bit more exciting. Just like some stuff that you're only going to hear there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this track. You know, it really just comes down to like getting that solid kick, the solid lead, all that kind of stuff, and just letting it shine really well. And yeah.
We're past the point of no return. Leave behind our consciousness.
That's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get my new EP, Point of No Return, out now on my brand new label, Reflection. The link is right at the top of the description. I really appreciate all the support. You know, it really helps keep me going, and also it's gonna help keep growing this thing. I think we can do really dope things with this label. You know, I think like just putting out my own music, I think some really interesting stuff is gonna come. So I really appreciate all the support on that. You can also get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this track right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. So definitely go grab that. And yeah, thank you so much everybody for the support, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.